Yadevam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Go-druma Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. And a verse from Shri Gaurangalila Smarana Mangala Stotram by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. O Gandhado Dvijagana Grihe Chapalang Yo Vitanvan Vidyarambe Shishu Parivrito Jahnavi Snanakale Varikshepar Dvijakulapatin Chalayang Asasarbangs Tangorangam Paramachapalam Kotukisham Smarami. I remember Gauranga. Smarami. Most fickle. Fickle means, the Sanskrit word is chapala, which means flickering, not steady, unpredictable. Sometimes Lakshmi is called Chapala. She's here today, gone tomorrow. In this verse, the word Chapala comes twice. Parama Chapala in the last line. Most fickle. Master of joking. Kotukisham. So Kotuki means like that, joking. Isham, the Lord of jokes. We don't usually think of God as the Lord of joking. In the Bible, God always seems to be very, very serious. But this is a joking God. Master of joking, who, during his Poganda age, exhibited fickleness in Brahmanas' houses. Hogandado Dvijagana Grihe, in the houses of the Dvijas, and at commencement of his studies, Vidyarambe, surrounded by children, Shishu Parivrita, surrounded, and Shishu means children, surrounded by children, would drive away the chief brahmanas when they bathed in the Ganga by splashing water on them. So Vari Kshepai. Vari means water, and Kshepa means throwing, and it's instrumental plural. So by throwings of water, by splashing, not just once, but Dvijakula Patim, the lords of the Dvijakula, the highly respected Brahmins. Chalayam, he caused them to go. Chalayamasa, Sarvam, all of them. Tam Gorangam, that Goranga, Paramachapalam, who is supremely fickle. Kotukisham Smarami. I remember him. Remember Lord Chaitanya splashing the Brahmins as they're very seriously chanting their Gayatri mantras. Isn't it said also that he would swim between their legs sometimes under the water? They would be standing, chanting Gayatri, maybe making sure everybody sees how they're chanting Gayatri. Yeah. Okay. So, shall we read? We got some nice information about Lochandas Thakur. This is from a website called the Gaudiya Treasures of Bengal.com. And there were a couple of interesting things here. Let's see if I can find. A few things about Lochandas Thakur's life. Well, he is, what do I want to say? He is a disciple of how come I can't think of his name?
Narahari Sarakar Thakur.
That's it, thank you. Narahari Sarakar Thakur. And he was born in a family of Vaidyas, or Ayurvedic physicians. And he lived near the Ajay River in Burdwan district. Burdwan, I don't know. I think of it as southwest, West Bengal, but I'm not sure. His father, Sri Kamalakara. His mother, Shrimati Sadanandi Devi. He was the only son of these two parents. He was a devotee since his very birth, it says, and he chanted the holy names of Krishna soon after coming out of his mother's womb. This must be something that every devotee mother wishes, that their child would just come out of the womb and start chanting Hare Krishna. Um, he would sing the glories of Gauranga. So then we get this funny music coming from so-called music coming over from Mulabar. He was married to a very beautiful lady at a very early age. Mm. But then he met Sri Narahari Sarkar Thakur and became quite absorbed, drowned in an ecstasy of Gauranga Prema. And so this was a problem for his in-laws, for the parents and family of his wife. They said, "Why don't you come to our place and spend some time with your wife?" But he was not interested. So then these family in-laws, they came to Srikhanda and they complained to Narahari Sarkar Thakur. So then Narahari Sarkar ordered Lochan to go visit his in-laws. And then it says, but this was not really a disturbance for his spiritual life. He preached to his wife, and by his mercy, she became a great devotee. And they passed their time blissfully together, discussing the nectarian pastimes of Sriman Mahaprabhu. So he spent some time there, but then Lochan Das came back to the Bhajan Kutir of his spiritual master at Baradanga. Okay, so then he started composing Sri Chaitanya Mangala. And what was his source? He referred to the writing of Murari Gupta in his Krishna Chaitanya Charita. So Murari Gupta was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal friend, childhood friend. So he knew him. He was the especially eyewitness of Mahaprabhu's life as a youth. Sitting upon a stone slab underneath a great barari tree, situated adjacent to the Bhajan Kutir of the spiritual master, an empowered Lochan Das Thakur began his work. This site and the tree exists even today. And it's possible to visit there. You've been there? Ah.
It's Srikhanda.
Srikhanda, yeah. How long does it take to get to Srikhanda?
This is near Katra, so it's like 2 hours.
Okay, 2 hours. So then, Sri Lochan Das Thakur finished Chaitanya Mangala and he brought it to his spiritual master, who was very pleased. By this time, it says, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur had already composed his book on Mahaprabhu's life and teachings, and it so happened that he named it Chaitanya Mangala. And devotees were very much appreciating Vrindavan Das's work. So Narahari Sarkar Thakur requested Lochan Das to first go and seek permission from Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur before making his work known to everyone else. So then that's what he does. Lochan Das goes, he meets Vrindavan Das Thakur, presents him his book. They met at Denur. I don't know where is Denur, where Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur had composed Chaitanya Bhagavat. Okay, and then Vrindavan Das was very impressed, it says here, with Lochan Das's book. And so he became immersed in ecstasy, noting how Sri Lochan Das had correctly identified Sri Nityananda Tattva. Yeah, because Vrindavan Das was a devotee, a follower, disciple of Vrindavan, of Nityananda Prabhu. And it was because Vrindavan, no, I'm getting things mixed up. Anyway, so Vrindavan Das was pleased to note the verse where Shilochan has correctly described Nityananda as the son of Mother Rohini. And then it gives the verse. Avinya Chaitanya Tanu Thakur Avaduto Sri Nityananda Bando Rohinika Shuto. And then it says here, Vrindavan Das Thakur then arranged that his book be renamed to Chaitanya Bhagavat. I don't know if that's, strictly speaking, the history or it's more hagiographical, but okay. In this way, the conflict of identical names of these two great compositions was resolved. What else? I'm greatly pleased. Lochan Das? Really? Coincidentally, it is Lochan Das Thakur's disappearance day today. So it's good that we are reading about him. Okay, Lochan Das dedicates his Chaitanya Mangal to his beloved Gurudev, Sri Narahari Sarkar Thakur, by whose intense desire Lochan Das had subsequently appeared and composed this great classic. And then he, that is Lochan, considers himself unqualified without the mercy of his guru and his empowerment. Thakur Shri Narahari Dasa Prana Adhikari Jara Paraprema Prati Ansh Adameyo Shada Kore Goraguno Gahi Bare Baroshoi Elochan Das. Sri Lochan Das Thakur is the example of a perfect disciple who lived to act as the tool in the hands of his spiritual master. Oh, yeah, this part I found interesting. So there's a book called Vaishnava Abhidan, which is in print. It's available. In fact, I think it was reprinted recently. It's all in Bengali by one Haridas Das. And it's a kind of encyclopedia. It's in two kind of thick volumes. I used to have a copy of it. Maybe it's still there in Singhachalam. Describes Sri Chaitanya Mangala as follows. Quote, Lochan Das based his Chaitanya Mangala upon Murari Gupta's authorized Sanskrit biography of Lord Chaitanya entitled Sri Chaitanya Charita. Sri Chaitanya Mangala is written in simple, beautiful language, and it can be sung in various beautiful ragas. Chaitanya Mangala is a rasatmika shastra, full of rasa, and Chaitanya Bhagavat, written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, is a varnanatmika shastra, full of descriptions. In some cases, Lochan Das's poetic expression surpasses those of Vrindavan Das Thakur. So, like that. Very good. So then, what we can do is go to Chaitanya Mangala and go through a few verses. Shall we do that? Yes? Okay. First, I get it up. Hey. Coming just now. Okay, there we are. Now, from week to week, it's always for me a bit of a challenge to remember what did we do last? Text 90. Nadia nagare, anande gore gore, najani ki nari, purushe. Oh yeah, I think we did this.
Yeah, we finished this chapter.
We finished the chapter? Oh, right, okay. So now we start chapter 2, Balya Lila. Pastimes in the age of 1 to 5. And the raga, for those of you who are familiar with ragas, is Sindura raga. Sindura. E matta dine dine shachir kumar bahadaye sharir jena amriteradar. Day by day, Sachi's son grew. To Sachi, he was like a shower of nectar. So the verb is badaye. Grow, he grew. What grew? Sharira, his body. Emata, in this way. Dine dine, day by day. Shachir Kumar, the Kumara, son of Sachi. And Amriter Dhara, there was a Dhara, a shower of Amrita. Hare Krishna. And yes, ki diba upama tarana dila se nari kalabala kore prana kohile she pari. So it looks like in this section we're going to get Payar verses, which is nice. To what shall I compare him? I will not compare him to anything. I have no power to do it. Still, my restless heart says, I will give a comparison. Let's see. Ki diva upama. So upama means comparison. Tarun Ki diva upama tara na dila shenari. So this shenari, this human being, okay, it's a little obscure to me. Ki diva, what will I give? Anyway, kalabala kore. Prana, I think, is being translated as heart. So my heart, kahile se pari. Kalabala. I think that means restless. So my prana, my life air, my heart, my being is being made kalabala, kolabala, restless. Kahile se pari. I will give a comparison. Okay. Niti Sholakala Purna Indu Mukachandra Sadhe Dakibare Dai Jonamir Ondo. His face was like an eternally full moon. Even persons blind from birth would run to see him. Okay, Niti Shola Kala. So Shola means 16 in Bengali, and Kala means parts. Purna means full. So in other words, the full moon. Indu means moon. And Niti here means Nitya. So the eternal 16-part full moon, Mukha Chandra, his face is such a moon. Chandra is also a moon. Sade Dakibare. Dakibare means seeing. Dai Janamir Anda. So those who are anda, blind, of their birth, Janamir, Sade Dai. Daya, I guess, is running. Sade, I don't know. Even persons blind from birth would run to see him. Aveshe odore adha muchaki hasite amiyar shagor jeno hillola shohite. On his lips, a half smile rested. He was like waves in an ocean of nectar. Muchaki hasite. Muchaki. Hasite means smiling. Adha. And adare is on the lips. Aveshe means absorbed. Absorbed, I guess here rested on the lips. But muchaki, I don't know. Amiyar shagar jeno hillola sahite. It was like waves in an ocean of nectar. Amiyar Sagara. Sagara is ocean. And I guess Amiyar is of nectar. Hilola Sahite, with Hilola, with waves, I guess. Roshe Dubu Dubu Rata Noyana Jugala Kajara Amiya Panke Ke Bandho Bandholo. His reddish eyes, Rata, I think, were flooded with nectar. Dubu Dubu, I think, is flooded. The nectar black kajal, decorating them. So kajara were dams built to keep that flood of nectar from overflowing. Banda bandala, dams. Amiya punke. Obscure words here. Shachipunyavati Jagannatha Bhagavan Sadare Nirke Don He Putra Vayan. Saintly Sachi and fortunate Jagannath lovingly gazed at their son's face. So Punyavati. Sachi is, so this ending, Vati, is the feminine form. It's like we have the word Bhagavan, which comes from Bhagavant, and then that becomes Bhagavat, and then in feminine becomes Bhagavati. So Punyavati, so possessing or full of punya. Jagannath and Bhagavan, and Jagannath, who is fortunate. Sadare nirke ton he putre vayan. Donhe is both, and putre vayan. Vayan, I guess, is face, the face of their son. Sadere nirke, I guess they're always gazing. Kane kande, kane hase, kane koti kore, kane kole, kane dole, hiar upore. One moment he laughed. Kshana is a moment, and it's kane in Bangla. One moment he laughed, another moment he cried. So he reversed it in the translation. It would be one moment he cried, another moment he laughed. Another moment he wanted something. Koti kare. Another moment he sat on Sachi's lap. Kole is on the lap. Kane dole hiar upare. Another moment he rode on a swing. I guess that's kind of like small children in general, right? They're always restless and constantly changing from one moment to the next. Kshane, kshane. Sachi stana juge duti chorana rakia dole jena sonar latika vayu paya. Keeping his feet on Sachi's breasts like a golden vine moving in the wind, he swung back and forth. I guess it's still describing his swinging on the swing, dole. So how did that work? It's hard for me to picture. His feet on the breasts of Sachi. In any case, Sachi Stana Juge means Juge is both breasts of Sachi. Duti Charana Rakya. So keeping Rakya, his Charana, his 2 feet, I think, Duti Charana. Dole Jeno Shonar Latika. So lata is a vine. Latika is a little vine of gold, sonar. Vayu Paya. Okay, so it's a comparison, like a golden vine moving in the wind. He swung back and forth. Okay. But how we should picture that with his feet on Sachi's breasts, I don't know. We're open for suggestions. Okay, let's stop there. And let's...
Gurudev,
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. I was thinking probably he was lying down on Mother Sachi's lap when she was sitting, and then he would have his feet up as his back. So that's how he could touch the breasts of Mother Sachi.
But he's swinging. It says he's swinging.
I was thinking he was maybe swinging on her lap, but maybe I'm mistaken.
Oh, okay, quite possible. Okay, I'm changing the audio to original sound for musician. Yes, you were going to say something? Oh. Okay, then back, share. Stop. Where am I? Here. Okay, here we go. Who's our Madanga player today? And kartals are also there. Sachir Kumar Badaye Sharira Jena Amritera Dan Bolun Ematani Sachir Kumar Badaye Amritera Kidiba Upama Dharana Dila Se. Whoops. Let's try that again. Kidiba Upama Nadila Se Nani Kalavala Kale Prana Kahile Se Pani Kidiba Upama Nadila Sena Olava Nitish Sholakala Purna Indumukha Chandra Shadhe Deki Vale Daya Janamera Anda Nitishwara Indumukha Chandra Shadhe Deki Vale. Oops. Okay. Abeshe adare adha muchakhi hasite amigar shagara jena illola shahite muchakhi hasite amigar Rashe dubu dubu rata nayana juganda kachara amiya panke keda ala Sachi Punya Mati Jagannatha Bhagavan Shadare Nirke Donhe Putre Bhayan Ane Khande Ane hasse, ane koti kore, kane bo, kane dole, hiya upare. Sachi sana juke juti, Charana Rakiya Dole Jena Sona Ratika Haya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Haribo, 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 Jai Srila Lochandas Thakur ki Jai, Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Baby Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Swinging on with his feet on his mother's breasts. So we got an explanation here in the comments. Sometimes mothers and fathers put their sons to play over their chest. Well, yes, of course. And Tirtharaj says, we would often do this with our children, lay down and have them on our chests. Since they were about a year, not yet stable on their feet, they would have this funny movement back and forth. Okay. Yeah. So I guess all of you mothers know about these things. Okay. All right. So welcome again to all of you. Nice to see you all from all your many, 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 many different places. And not much to report here. Well, a little bit about writing. I was writing a book review of one book I was asked to write a book review of for a journal, the Journal of Animal Ethics. The book is called Mother, I may have mentioned Mother Cow, Mother India. And it's a very good book, but it's a very depressing book because it's about the dairy industry in India and how the dairy industry is just an extension of the meat industry, which is the case everywhere. But it's especially crazy here in India because dairy is possibly the largest in the world industry. And because in many places, most places in India, officially it's illegal to kill cows, so it's all done very unofficially. And so it makes for what you could call a dark gray economy. Anyway, that's all described in depressing detail in this book. So I wrote a book review and I sent it, and they wrote back and said, "This is very good and we want to publish it, but we don't want to publish it as a book review. We want to publish it as what's called a review article." So it's kind of an upgrade from a book review. So I was happy about that. And also, just was it 2 days ago or 3 days ago, I was thinking about this Indological conference that comes once every 3 years to Dubrovnik in Croatia. And I've been there, I've presented now 3 times there over the years. And it's coming up this August. And I was just a little bit ruminating about whether there's something I could present. And an idea came to me. Let's see if I have it here. Yeah. So I kind of quickly wrote up a proposal. We'll see if they accept. They've always accepted in the past. So the theme of the conference, they said this year, is water and forests. Specifically, the conference, it's called DICSEP, the Dubrovnik International Conference on the Sanskrit Epics and Puranas. So I always present on the Bhagavatam. So I was thinking water, forests, forests, water. But then they always say, here's the theme, but whatever else you're working on. Basically anything. So my title is The Rhetoric of Reversals, Bharata's Forest Wisdom in the Bhagavata Purana. So basically, I'm going to tell the story of King Bharat becoming a yogi, giving shelter to the deer, becoming a deer, becoming Jadabharata, and teaching Rahugana. But I want to focus on sort of how it works rhetorically speaking. Rhetoric means speech to persuade. So one can analyze. I did this previously with something from Vishnu Purana some years ago at this conference. Well, I can read my little proposal. The Bhagavata Purana's 8-chapter narration of King Bharata's yogic adventures and misadventures includes a variety of didactic rhetorical moments that can be viewed as fractals of the Bhagavata Purana's overall message of renounced and passionate devotion to Vishnu, Narayana, Krishna. So a fractal is, what is a fractal? A fractal is like a sort of like a fragment which contains, it's like a reflection that's a fragment of something. I don't know the exact definition, but it's like little reflections, sort of like mirrors. I think of it that way. The cumulative force of these moments, including reversals of fortune, prompting pre-modern displays of care ethics and stoic extreme tolerance, culminates in a teaching that takes the form of an extended analogy, a forest of temporal existence, Bhavatavim. Here, my aim is to examine and reflect on the variety of implicit and explicit rhetorical features exhibited in this section of the Bhagavata Purana, to ask the broader question of what it means to persuade and be persuaded Puranic style. So anyway, that was what I came up with. Now we'll see how that goes. Here we go. Are we getting an exact definition? Thank you, Alagananda. A fractal is a complex geometric shape that exhibits self-similarity. Okay. Meaning its patterns repeat at increasingly smaller scales. Oh, okay. Unlike standard shapes, fractals are infinitely complex and look nearly identical whether magnified or viewed as a whole. Wow. Sounds very geometrical. Okay. Good. What else? Is there anything else? Anyone? Do we have any birthdays? Any of you celebrating birthdays? Happy birthdays? Oh, we just got a translation from Team Neshla in Khrevatsky. Yeah. Good. Okay. Rajatoshni, you have a question. Yes, please go ahead.
Hey Krishna Maharaj, obeisances. I was reading and came across something that was a little confusing, so I was hoping to ask and pull it up. In this purport, it says, Srila Prabhupada says, the real fact is that bhakti can be applied only to Lord Vishnu and his expansions. Therefore, bhakti lata is drita vrata, the great vow. For when the mind is completely engaged in devotional service, the mind does not fall down. And I was kind of confused about this because I was previously under the impression that we don't own bhakti. Like there's such thing as Jesus bhakti, like you can be a bhakta of Jesus Christ or Allah. And I was a bit confused about how bhakti can be applied only to Lord Vishnu, and I was hoping that you could help me understand that.
Yeah, sometimes Prabhupada says that bhakti is only for Vishnu or Krishna. That's the exclusivist dimension of Krishna bhakti. When you read Bhagavad Gita, it has an exclusivist aspect and it has an inclusivist aspect. And so this only Vishnu, only Krishna is expressing the exclusivist perspective, which is the mood of a devotee of Krishna when the devotee is in the mood of intense devotion, where I think it's Rupa Goswami speaks of mamata, the sense of ownership. Krishna is mine. So with that comes this kind of exclusivity mood. Yes, one can say bhakti, taking the other side, it's a general sort of generic term, just means devotion. And many years ago, my godbrother Ravindra Swarup Prabhu wrote a nice article. Maybe it was published in ISKCON Communications Journal, I'm not sure, where he, if I remember correctly, I hope I do, where he kind of highlighted, I think he even made a kind of diagram with sort of vertical and horizontal lines. So you would have across the page different religious traditions, and then in horizontal you would have karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti. And you could kind of interpret these different aspects and how they manifest in the different traditions. And that makes an interesting and potentially useful way of making comparisons. Across traditions. I can't think of any examples now except, referring to bhakti, I mean, we could say in Christian tradition, there's so many of their saints. I think it's not difficult to speak of their mood as one of bhakti, their devotional moods. I remember years ago, I took this seminar. I attended a seminar led by Francis Clooney, who later became my doctoral supervisor. He gave a seminar called Christ in Light of Hindu Theology. And one of the books we read was The Showings of Julian of Norwich. So Julian of Norwich was a Christian mystic, you could say, of, I think, 14th century English. And she was what's called an anchorite. She was like a reclusive nun. And she became very sick, and then she had a vision of Jesus, and she became well again. And then over a period of many years, she reflected on her experience of having what we might call darshan of Jesus. And she becomes very analytical. And I think some of her analysis is considered a bit on the margins of what would be accepted as proper Roman Catholic doctrine. But The point is, I think it's easy to see, and I think that's why Frank Clooney had us read it. Easy to appreciate it as a form of bhakti. So when you read Prabhupada saying bhakti is only for Vishnu, Krishna, I take it as, yes, that's the mood. When one is so intensely absorbed in devotion to Vishnu or Krishna, then one really feels this could be the only real object of my devotion. And that's nice. That's okay. One could also, another way of possibly taking it is to say, well, Vishnu, Krishna is the origin of all forms of Godhead, of all divinity, Ramadi, Murti Shukala, Niyamena Tishtan, etc. Nana Avataram Akarot Bhuvaneshu Kintu. Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramatpamanyo Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That Vishnu is all-inclusive, and therefore if someone is worshipping, showing devotion for some other divinity, one may see that that is simply an expression of ultimately devotion for Krishna or Vishnu. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does make sense. Thank you, Gurudev. I think there's also like an example of Saint Teresa of Avila, who saw, maybe it was in such intense meditation that she saw, I think actually like darshan of Krishna and the gopis.
Acha?
There's, I can send it in. Someone had sent me this quote from a book called Accounts, or her journal is called Accounts of Conscience 38. It goes on where she says, I saw there a blackish youth with a strange beauty. On top of his head, he had something like a garland, not a crown, of great stones, and many maidens who walked there with him with bouquets in their hands, all singing praises to God. I did nothing but open my eyes so as not to be distracted, and it was not possible for me to take my attention off of it. So it seems like even Christian, I like the idea of like Vishnu being, or I understand Vishnu being all encompassing, and then maybe, I don't know, you can be such a bhakta of Jesus Christ that Krishna gives you some sort of darshan, maybe. I don't know. That would make sense, but
It's certainly tempting to take it that way. Nice.
yeah. Thank you so much, Gurudev.
It reminds me of Friedrich Nietzsche I believe it's in his book Also sprach Zarathustra. So spoke Zarathustra. That I would believe in a God who dances. Well, too bad for Friedrich Nietzsche. Nobody told him about Krishna. Nobody knocked on his door with a Bhagavad Gita in their hand back in the late 19th century in Switzerland. So, yeah. So there's, just taking the word bhakti in terms of Sanskrit translation, it just means, devotion. We could look it up. Let's see. We'll get Mr. Monier Williams' translation. Uh-oh. He gives lots of quite dry translations first. Distribution, partition, separation, a division, portion, share, uh, a streak, a line, a variegated decoration, a row, series, succession, or order, the being a part of, we're getting there, that which belongs to or is contained in anything else, an attribute. Predisposition. Okay, here finally comes what we're looking for. Attachment, devotion, fondness for, devotion to, with the locative case, trust, homage, worship, piety, faith, or love, or devotion as a religious principle or means of salvation. Ta-da. Okay, and gives as reference, I don't know, literary sources, Shvetashvatara Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita and Kavya literature and just says Purana, etc. So, okay. That's if you ask Munir Williams, who may not be the final word, because what was his motivation for writing a Sanskrit English dictionary? It was to preach Christianity to the Indians. That was his motivation. Interesting, though, is that his dictionary is considered still today, after 127 years, I think, it's still considered authoritative.
Impressive.
Okay. Good. If there are no other comments or things anyone wants to share, we could go back to our Nectar of Devotion talk. Or actually, Vrindapati, do you want to report anything from your adventures? Have you recovered a bit from?
Well, the pollution in India is crazy, I would say dangerous, if I could really put a word to it. So much so it got into my lungs, and I was really been struggling to breathe and been really coughing quite a lot. So I don't feel like I want to rush back to India for anything
Oh,
after that. So, word of warning to people who are going to India. Uh, Try and get a room where they have air purifiers, because that is really important. I think, especially if you're staying anywhere or near Delhi.
yeah, Delhi is really
Yeah,
strange.
it's even in South India. It was better in South India when I was traveling in South India. The pollution levels were a lot better, but you could still see Bangalore still had a haze over it. And Bangalore airport actually has industrial size air purifiers within its airport. So it kind of the air, as soon as I got to the airport on my way back, immediately I started to feel better because the air quality was better inside the airport. So it's winter time, so apparently when you travel in the winter in India, the air pressure brings all the pollution from high space to lower down somehow. It brings the air pollution levels down further. so you're breathing it a lot more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're gonna go for a short time and maybe get out of the city as soon as possible. That was just a word of caution to everybody. But apart from that, I had a wonderful time in Vrindavan. I met with you in Vrindavan, Gurudev, and that was
Yes.
nice to see you there. And I think, when you're for the first time in in the holy dham with your spiritual master at the same time, it's quite a special occasion because then you have, Guru, the dham, and Govinda all in the same place. So it's nice. So that was nice, even though it was a short darshan. But I took a Sikh friend of mine who actually comes from Coventry, not kind of in the Midlands, middle of England here. We call it the Midlands. And he comes actually from a Sikh tradition and recently has taken a huge interest in Krishna consciousness and has been going to Bhaktivedanta Manor and traveling around there. So he has a turban and he has a beard and he follows the teachings and the precepts of the Sikh gurus. And he really wanted to go to Vrindavan and go and see the Holy Dham. He wanted to see the Gaudiya history, the temples, and things like that. So he actually appealed to me saying that he wanted to go, but he felt a little bit shy because he comes from a different religious background. And so I had some kind of small pockets of things that I needed to do in India anyway. So I sort of volunteered to say, well, when I'm there, I can show you around Vrindavan and take you to the holy places, the temples and things. So he had a wonderful time. He very enthusiastic. And for a Sikh who don't normally do deity worship, he actually has a deity of Krishna and bought lots of paraphernalia for his deities in Vrindavan and was very excited about all of that. And then we went to Jaipur. So we did go to Govardhan, Radhakund, Shamkund. We went to Barsana, and then most of the time stayed in Vrindavan. And then we went to Jaipur and took darshan of Govinda Dev Ji in Jaipur. And we also went to Kanak Vrindavan, where Govinda Ji apparently used to. I can't remember if this is accurate or not. Maybe somebody can correct me. But I believe that that's the original place where Govindaji was stationed before moving into the palace grounds and coming closer to the king's palace. And so Govindaji, as some people already know, is the original deity of Krishna, made by Krishna's grandson Vajranab, or one of the main deities. And it was worshipped and rediscovered by Srila Rupa Goswami um, when he was in Vrindavan. And apparently, Srila Rupa Goswami looks at the sun and chants the Gayatri mantra and then sees a cow coming and the cow empty its udders of milk into a certain spot. And then apparently they dug 5 stories down into the ground and
Oh.
they found the deity of Govindaji. And according to the history book that I have, it's called I think it's called Govinda Dev, A Legacy in Stone. I think it's really, there's a book, very very interesting book on this. And Govindaji is one of my favorite deities. He's a clunky looking deity, but you look at that deity and you can't help but fall in love with that deity.
Clunky.
Clunky, yeah. Because I mean, there's no refined features. It's just
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
rudimentary, form. Very, very
Yeah.
basic, details are there.
Mm.
Anyway, so we went to Kanak Vrindavan, and that was a place where uh, there was I read that there was a one Gaudiya Vaishnava by the name of Shivaram Goswami. who made a final call one day and decided that some of the deities of Vrindavan had to leave Vrindavan to go to Jaipur for safety. And there is even a palanquin that you can see if you go to Kamyavan. There is actually an old palanquin that's still there that actually brought the deity of Vrinda Devi, who stayed in Kamyavan, and then Govindaji continued on to Jaipur. And apparently, I can't remember if this is accurate or not from what I remember reading last. He stayed in Kanak Vrindavan and then was moved to within the city walls closer to the royal palace because the king had such an affection for the deity.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went there. We went to Galtaji, is a very interesting place not far from Jaipur, and apparently the um, Ramanandi Sampradaya had a huge place there. And I think Baladev Vidyabhushan was also challenged about the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya as whether it was authorized or not because they didn't have a commentary on the Vedanta Sutras.
Yeah.
I believe the Govinda Bhashya was written following that meeting that had happened in that place particularly. Uh, I may be getting the history confused here, but there is a significant place where the Ramanandis kind of had a station there. And there's a river that kind of begins from the mountains and flows sort of through the valley. It's very interesting because you have a whole city which is all laid out around the city palace and Govindaji's temple, and then all of a sudden you reach this mountainous area and you go up into the mountain and they have a temple, dedicated to Lord Vishnu, and the Sri Vaishnavas have a pillar there as well. So there's lots of history to that place.
Yeah.
They also, I think, believe that Tulsidas wrote a few sections of his Ramacharitammanas in that one particular place also. So it's very, very interesting. We saw the city palace and noticed how quite a lot of the kings of Jaipur were very favorable to the Vraja Bhakti of Vrindavan, particularly the later kings. And that was very interesting to see. And then we moved from there to Kurukshetra, and there we saw the tree where Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. We saw the Brahma Sarovara there. And apparently in the Mahabharata, just before the Bhagavad Gita starts, there is a whole stotra or a few stanzas written in glorification of the goddess Durga, Bhadrakali. And so she has a temple in Kurukshetra. And apparently, as we all know from the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a story where Sati severs her connection with Daksha by jumping into the sacrificial fire, the Yagya Kund. They say the story goes that after uh, Sati kind of self-emulated her, is that the correct word? Self-emulation?
Emulation.
Emulation, self-emulation. And so Lord Shiva came there and created a demon called Virabhadra who went and took Daksha's head, put it on the sacrificial kind of
Yeah.
beheaded him, and his head was replaced by a goat.
Yeah, that's all in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah, it's all in the Bhagavatam.
Okay,
Following that, Lord Shiva comes and then takes the body of Sati. And Lord Vishnu, apparently with his Sudarshan Chakra, cuts her body into several pieces to
50, isn't it 51
yeah,
pieces?
51
Yeah.
pieces. And so
Yeah, yeah.
apparently the right foot of Sati, now there's probably several places in India that claim that the right foot of Sati fell there, but apparently it fell in Kurukshetra at the Bhadrakali temple there. So
Okay.
So when we go into the temple, you see Bhadrakali, and you then see a huge, well, it's not a big foot, but like a deity of the right foot up to,
Acha.
yeah, and it's just there, and you can have you see the darshan of this foot of Sati.
Of the foot of Durga. Oh,
So
okay.
from there we stayed in Kurukshetra, and actually we met one of the Sikh leaders of the Sikh. They have different sampradayas within Sikhism, just like we do within Hinduism, and they have one particular martial, uh, sect of Sikhism, which is particularly invested in martial arts, particularly, and they live like yogis themselves. They are known as the Nihang Sikhs, and
Mhm.
they're one of their leaders from the Buddha Dal, which is the name of their sect, happened to be at the same time at the same place at the tree of where Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. And apparently, he was very favorable to Krishna Bhakti also, because in Vrindavan there is a very famous Baba, Premanand Babaji from the Hit Harivamsha Sampradaya, who's
Yeah,
massive at the moment. And that's
yeah,
why we have such a crazy amount of people in Vrindavan because of Premanand
yeah.
Baba. And so anyway, he did visit Premanand Baba, and I mean he got a bit of backlash from his own community because he had gone to see a Hindu saint, but he
Oh,
was very favorable to Krishna consciousness, so much so that we met at the same place. We met at Krishna's transcendental tree where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken at, Jyoti Sar, and he shared some his realizations with me, and we had a very nice exchange, and we took photographs together and all of these things as
that's
you do.
that's one does.
Yeah, and then I went to from there, I went to Punjab. My friend decided to go to the Golden Temple, where Sikhism has its
Mm,
kind of, it's like the Mecca of Sikhism.
yeah.
And so he went to the Golden Temple into his family village, and I went to go to see my grandmother's kind of ancestral home uh, in Punjab. And there was a school there where I wanted to do some planting some trees in India. Every time I go, I try to do some kind of work, some seva for Vrindavan. We did in Vrindavan as well, donate some Lakshmi for tree planting and the Gaushala.
Mm.
And then we did the same, but I actually planted some trees myself
Huh.
in Punjab in a school. So their school said that they would maintain the trees, which was nice. And then we felt obliged to give some donation for stationery for the school children as well.
That's
So it was nice. We had a very nice exchange, and then came back to Delhi, and 2 days we stayed in Delhi. And both evenings, I met with our god sister Avaduta Priya,
Mhm.
and we had an opportunity to talk and catch up and things. And then Gurdeep, he had finished his Vrindavan and North India tour and came back to the UK. And then I joined a group of people in South India in Bangalore. I flew to Bangalore, met with Gaurakeshava Prabhu and Bhakti Lata, his wife,
Mhm.
Rupa Goswami and his wife, and myself, as students of Pancharatra and Sanskrit, and
Mhm.
visited some places which are, particularly, particular to the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. So we went to the Gali Engineer Temple where Gaurakeshava Prabhu received Pancharatra teaching. So he took us to meet some of his teachers there, their family. I think his teachers passed away, and it was his family members that we met with.
Mm.
And we went to Melkote, we went to Mysore, we went to Udupi Krishna Temple. So we saw some Madhvacharya Sampradaya devotees from there. We met with Dr. Alwar, who's a Sanskritist, and he
Mm.
has this actual, I think it's a website called Sanskriti, where they do a lot of translation. He does a lot of teaching in Sanskrit as a Sanskrit professor in a university there in Mysore. And then we met with Dr. Iyengar, who is a Pancharatric teacher who teaches deity worship and deity installation and so on and so forth as well. So we had a good opportunity to meet with them. And to cut a long story short, then I went to Bangalore and then flew back to the UK, and
Okay.
that was my journey. So we had a great time. It was a great. We did meet. I did meet with our god sister Anandita and her husband,
Nandita Rama.
Anandita Ramana husband, in the birthplace of Madhvacharya. So we actually went to the birthplace of Madhvacharya and
Okay.
coincidentally met there at the same time. Yeah. So that's my whistle stop tour basically of everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a very, very wonderful experience to go and travel. Unfortunately, the pollution is just too much in India. It's disturbing.
Yes. Maybe especially at this time of year.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't feel any trouble here where I am, although I don't think it's exactly clear air. Um, but somehow, I don't know. Do you feel anything? You feel it? Uh, Others who live here say they feel it. I
Yeah.
don't.
How was the Oxford Center of Hindu Studies thing, or did you already discuss that another time?
We discussed it. I guess we discussed it last week, didn't we?
Oh, okay.
Or yeah, it went very well. So it looks like we may do it again.
Okay,
It
that'll
was
be
a bit
nice.
intense, but it was good.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, very nice. What was I going to say? Oh, you just reminded me regarding Sanskrit. I think Mangala Chandrika, you were asking for a course on Sanskrit pronunciation. Was it you who was asking?
It was me, Guru Maharaj.
Who? Oh,
Did
Dhiralamita. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, there is a devotee in, I think he's in Australia, Nityananda Prabhu, who is a Sanskritist. And I think he has a Facebook page. And I remember he has, or he had at least, a course in Sanskrit pronunciation where he went quite deeply into it. That's the only one I know, but there may be others. Nowadays, there's so much. There's so much on the internet.
Maybe I can do. There are people asking me also to do Sanskrit pronunciation
She's
class.
interested specifically in prosody, in the meters of the verses. How
Oh,
to
okay. Yeah, that's a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it follows quite basic, simple principles. If you
hmm
catch the principles, then you can understand when a syllable is short or long.
hmm
Maybe we should do a lesson about that sometime.
That would
Are
be
you talking?
wonderful. Thank you
Are
so
you
much.
talking about the chand, like Anushtup Chanda and some of the verses and how they are, in different,
Yeah.
is that what, yeah,
Shardula Vikridita.
yes, and so on and so forth.
Mm.
Well, Sanskrit is such a massive topic. There's lots to learn about Sanskrit. Forever
Yes.
students of Sanskrit. Yeah.
One of my Sanskrit professors said that she experienced that every time she would come to a new text or a new genre, it was like starting all over again, learning. Yeah.
I was thinking it would be nice when I read Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, I like to read it out loud And so the basic meter that we usually read in classes of verses of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's all right. I think I picked up on it, but I'm just attracted to the sound of pronunciation of these Sanskrit verses, and I would like to know how to read maybe a longer verses that I have no clue what meter to put in, even if I try the Brahma Samhita meter, no meter, I mean the melody to read it. It doesn't pan out properly. So
there are precise numbers of syllables, and depending on the number of syllables, it'll be recited in a different way. Even within...
That's in the Gajendra Moksha.
Huh?
Gajendra Moksha is like one of those, it comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but you have to read it in a certain way, and then it changes, and then it changes, and then it changes, and you have to go back to the original way of changing it.
And so also, I was thinking there is also there is also like emphasis when you're reading the verse, when the sound goes up or sound goes down. Since in beginning of Krishna consciousness, I was really attracted to hearing the mantras of when yagyas are performed. Somehow, I don't know why, but I'm very attracted to that. So I was thinking maybe I should learn. Not that I should. I would really love to learn the pronunciation of the Sanskrit. So if Guru Maharaj can give a couple of classes to us, that would be like so good. At least some basics.
Yeah, I only know some basics, so.
Well, for me, it would be probably like a very high your basics, Guru Maharaj.
Kshetra Vilasini writes, Hare Krishna, they are running beginner Sanskrit pronunciation at Bhaktivedanta Manor next 3 Sundays starting tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Do you have to pay for it?
Doesn't say.
Quite possible.
Yeah.
But Vedic Sanskrit is different from the Srimad Bhagavatam. You're not going to get the swara markings in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Swara markings you only get in Vedic Sanskrit. And that's different from Puranic Sanskrit. So,
that's a different story. I met one scholar many years ago, actually it was here in Mayapur, who insisted, he was adamant that what we call Vedic Sanskrit is not Sanskrit, it's Vedic. Because the word Krishna, this is not working. Why is it not working? Can you hear me now? Yeah. He said because the word Sanskrit means Sanskrita. It's purified or refined. So Vedic is unrefined. And then Sanskrita is the refined version of the language, which comes. Oh, again, I don't know what's happening.
But I find even with Vedic, it's very different. Like you get different ways of chanting the Vedic mantras. Recently, we found that a lot of the Goswami literature actually follows Shukla Yajurveda Madhyandina way of chanting mantras. But when you hear it being chanted in the temples and by priests recently, they're actually using Krishna Yajurveda style of chanting, which is based in South India. Actually, it's not the same Vedic chanting that is found in the Goswami literature. So if you go to Govindaji temple in Jaipur, the way they chant the mantras when they do puja is Madhyandina style Vedic Sanskrit. It's not what we're used to
Wow,
hearing in ISKCON, actually.
it's so very complex. I wanted to
Very
ask
complex.
also, like I've heard today in a class of Srimati Mataji that like Vedas are written in sort of some cryptic words. So only the qualified Vyasadeva could actually understand it and say it. And it's interesting to know, is this Sanskrit that we are reading today in Srimad Bhagavatam, is that original Sanskrit that Vyasadeva was actually dictating to Ganesha to write it down? Or were there like different transformations of Sanskrit? Because I'm asking this because the knowledge to know the Sanskrit language it takes many years, but then one, in order to translate something or to write something, needs to know the topic in order to do it. So I was just wondering, was that the original Sanskrit, if anyone know historically, that was written? And I've heard that, yes, sorry, very much. Do you have any knowledge on that?
I would just say that the Sanskrit that we're all hearing and reading and chanting is basically following a system of grammar that was established by Panini. Panini, when do they date Panini? 5th century before the Common Era. I don't remember. But he kind of standardized. Before him, it's understood that the grammar was not standardized. I think it's more complicated than that. There are some features of Vedic or Vedic Sanskrit which, as I understand, have a certain flexibility which is not there in what we know in classical Sanskrit, what's usually called classical Sanskrit. What was original Sanskrit? Well, as Prabhupada said to the question, how do we know how to understand that the moon gives juice to the plants? Prabhupada said to Mother Vishaka, ask the moon.
Yeah, because it happened 5,000 years ago. Who would know? It was written on a banana leaves, and who would know it 5,000 years ago? It's just like inconceivable time, actually.
Long time ago.
Yes, there is this grain called einkorn grain, and they say here in England that grain is like 8,000 years old. So I was thinking, how could they actually find out that their grain is that old? I mean, 8,000 years. I mean, it's just also inconceivable.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, we have a few more minutes. We can do a bit of nectar of devotion, shall we? Why not? Let's get this up. Okay. Here we go. With the chapter 8 beginning, we've been wanting to start this for some time now. And we have a summary here, the 19th item of devotional service, carefully avoiding the various offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord or in worshiping the deity in the temple is described. 32 offenses are listed from the supplementary Vedic literature and others from the Varaha Purana. The 10 offenses against the holy name are described in the Padma Purana. So what happens, there's in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, he is basically just listing the 64 items of devotional service. There were 10 things to do, 10 things not to do. And within the 10 things not to do, we come to the 19th. I mean, to say, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then what Prabhupada does is he kind of pauses and elaborates and makes that a whole chapter. This can be a little confusing. How the Nectar of Devotion, how does it map onto the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Danodar Swami Maharaj many years ago wrote a book called Waves of Devotion, specifically to do this mapping, just to help us to understand what's going on in the Nectar of Devotion in relation to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and also to highlight some of the more technical terms that are there in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which Srila Prabhupada may not have translated. Okay, so offenses to the deity. Now we get some fun illustrations from Urmila Devi. One should not enter the temple of the deity in a car or palanquin or with shoes on the feet. Okay. That sort of makes sense. Interesting images there. 2, one should not fail to observe the various festivals for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Janmashtami and Ratha-yatra. There's a nice painting of Ratha-yatra. Looks like a watercolor painting. Okay, that's clear enough. 3, one should not avoid bowing down before the deity. And we have a picture of Srila Prabhupada bowing. It looks like Radha Parasishvara. I was present when Prabhupada installed Radha Parasishvara, and he offered the first arati. Number 4, one should not enter the temple to worship the Lord without having washed one's hands and feet after eating. Okay. Which means it's not that one has to take a whole shower after eating, but just hands and feet. I think it should include also mouth, hands, mouth, and feet. And then one might offer or perform achamana as an additional purification. It's possible. 5, one should not enter the temple in a contaminated state. So the image shows someone there's a funeral, and there's an explanation. According to Vedic scripture, if someone dies in the family, the whole family becomes contaminated for some time according to its status. For example, if the family is Brahmana, their contamination period is 12 days. For the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, it is 15 days. For Shudras, 30 days. Okay. that's interesting. Why it would be different for different varnas. 6, one should not bow down on one hand. Something we see quite often. Devotees bowing down with one hand. Yeah, the idea is one is kind of meditating that one is touching the feet of the person one is offering obeisance to. And number 7, one should not circumambulate in front of Sri Krishna. What does that mean? The process of circumambulating the temple is that one should begin circumambulating from the deity's right hand side of the temple and come around. Such circumambulation should be performed outside the temple structure at least 3 times daily. Wow. At least 3 times daily. Yeah, why not? I remember so many years ago in Kerala, on the seacoast, there was a temple at a place called Varkala. We went there, nice temple, and not a big temple really. And they would bring the deity out in a palanquin and circumambulate the temple, not once, not twice, but 3 times every day. Apparently, that was their standard. That was quite something. So, of course, circumambulation is a form of showing respect. If you want to respect someone, you can walk around them in a clockwise direction. Unless you're a Buddhist, and then you would go counterclockwise. Apparently, who was it? Maybe it was Shachinandan Swami said at Kailash, they did a circumambulation of Kailash, which is no easy feat. It's actually very high altitude, a bit dangerous, actually. So he and some, I don't know, 2, 3 others went up there. And there were Buddhists coming in the opposite direction.
No, the Buddhists do it.
What's that?
Guru Maharaj, the Buddhists do it clockwise. It's the Bon religion that do it anti-clockwise. The
Oh,
Bon
the
religion.
bonds. Okay. Oh, so Buddhists also go clockwise.
Which is earlier
Yeah, I know.
than Buddhism.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
the Buddhists that we saw go clockwise around the thing, and the Bon went the other way around. Yeah.
right. Okay. You also did Kailash Parikram?
Yeah, I've done Kailash Parikrama, yeah.
That's right. Yes, I remember
We
that.
did
Yeah.
Kailash before.
That's quite something. Okay. Number 8, one should not spread his legs before the deity. Okay. Makes sense. Not very respectful. This reminds me of Prabhupada's famous quote, his exclamation in the recording of Prabhupada chanting japa. Suddenly he says, "Sit properly." Apparently someone was stretching, whether they were stretching their legs out or what, but somehow it wasn't proper. Prabhupada doesn't explain what is proper, but it's understood apparently. And that became kind of an iconic, firm order by Srila Prabhupada. Number 9, one should not sit before the deity holding the ankles, elbows, or knees with one's hands. That's kind of quite specific. You can't hold your elbows before the deity. Okay. And 10, one should not lie down before the deity of Krishna. And we get a little demonstration here of lying down. Yeah, sometimes one sees that here in India, someone will just sort of lie down in front of the deity. One should not accept prasad before the deity. Yeah, there may be different interpretations of this, but the general principle is respecting. The general principle is always just showing respect. And so eating is, in general in India, eating is a rather private thing. One should never speak a lie before the deity. Show Pinocchio. One should not talk very loudly before the deity. Okay. This speaking a lie, we may be reminded of the story of the elder and younger brahmanas. The elder brahmana makes a promise before the deity of Sakshi Gopal. He becomes Sakshi Gopal to the younger to give his daughter in marriage. And then that becomes the story of the Lord becoming a witness. One should not talk with others before the deity. That's not very carefully followed. One should not cry or howl before the deity. Okay. And one should not quarrel or fight before the deity. Kapow. Funny images. One should not chastise anyone before the deity. One should not be charitable to beggars before the deity. I wonder. I guess I wonder a little bit why this would be offensive or disrespectful. I don't know. Maybe it would encourage too many beggars to come in the temple of begging. One should not speak very harshly to others before the deity. Some of the images she found are quite something. One should not wear a fur blanket before the deity. Okay. Yeah. Definitely not a good idea. One should not eulogize or praise anyone else before the deity. Now, this, I think, is understood to mean don't praise mundane people. Krishna likes to hear his devotees glorified. One should not speak any ill names before the deity. So one could categorize all these in terms of some of them are offenses having to do with speech, and some are to do with the body, and like that. Oh, this one. One should not pass air before the deity, and she has this image. That's pretty funny. Uh, okay. So maybe we'll stop there. That's a good place to stop, isn't it? Number 23. Okay. Yeah, I guess there we have it. I'll just check. I think we can meet again next week. Yeah. Should be possible. And we will leave it at that. And thank you all so much for joining us. And we hope you have a wonderful week. Feel free to start reading Canto 5. Yeah.
What is the deadline?
Deadline for reflections. Oh, well, if I say the deadline, then you will just not bother. Deadline again is beginning of December. But yes, you can start earlier. You can start reading and then. All right. Thank you all so much. Keep safe. Keep sane. Chant. Be happy. Gaur Premanande Haribol Srila Prabhupada ki jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Thank
Hare
you, Guru
Krishna.
Maharaj.
Ki
Thank you
jai.
very much.
Hare
Very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Very much.
Jai.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Guru
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Bless
Hare
you.
Krishna.